Welcome to Sambhashana's special series, Women in Newsroom. We are celebrating the voices of women in the newsroom who continue to inspire us with their perspectives and narratives. Today we have with us Chetana Belagere, an award-winning journalist with over 18 years of experience in covering crime, education and health. Currently serving as the editor for Health at South First. Previously, Chetana has served at the New Indian Express, Deccan Chronicle, and Midday. Let's welcome Chetana to the Newsroom series. Welcome, Chetana. And finally, we meet after long, what you say, this up and down, and we finally, I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you very much. Likewise, it is really a pleasure to see you as person, and for putting me on the other side. It's always the other way, right? So, but now I am here and you are talking to me about something about me, which is something very new for me.
I'm so glad. Thank you for your time. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about your journey and a bit of, for every challenges are different. We would learn from your challenges and also the few of your stories which became the headline. And then at the end, we'll have a fun rapid fire. So that's what we're going to do, right? So to begin with, I must confess, when I was looking about you, I got to learn so much about your father as well.
Right.
See, when we were talking, you said there are some kind of disadvantages and advantages. Would you like to tell, being the daughter of a well-known, renowned journalist, what is it like?
It's like, this might become a little bit of a controversial statement, I don't know, because I feel that, even when you call me for an interview, the first thought in my mind, I don't know, it's always been like this for me, though I know I shouldn't get into that phase, but is it because I'm Ravi Belagare's daughter? When I entered the field, you won't believe, when I entered journalism, I'm very proud that I'm his daughter, and there's no doubt about it. But there is this kind of insecurity that it can give you when you're a celebrity's daughter for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't trust my talents or anything like that. And he's always pushed me to do that, trust myself. And I do. But still, that jijak you say, is it because of that? Then when you told me that you didn't know that I'm Ravi Belagare's daughter, I was like, wow.
I apologize.
I was like really, actually very happy about it because, somebody's... this is a thought that I get several times. People have told me, okay, who that kind of puts me in like nice place. So it's nice, being Ravi Belagare's daughter has been extremely challenging, but I'm very proud that I'm his daughter, and there's a legacy behind the name Belagere, and I'm proud that I'm continuing that legacy.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And you have been into crime, and you have you have changed, and you're now doing health. How has it been navigating from crime to health, and in between you did something else? Yeah. How has that been? Was it a conscious decision?
Right. Yes, it was a conscious decision. It's been fantastic, first of all, the journey. It's been almost 2 decades now that I'm in journalism. But, when I started reporting. When I went to, I had this chief reporter called Roja Kandat, who was Vijay Times chief reporter. She asked me when I got into the job, she said, so which beat do you want to cover? It's rarity now that, we actually ask people which beat do you want to do, because either they would have done something or we just ask what's your interest, but then they would ask which beat do you want to do. I said crime. So it was very few women who actually took up crime reporting then, about 20 years before. So then she was like, are you sure? Is it because your dad is into crime reporting? I said, maybe that's where I got
Could
the
be
passion
your instincts calling or something.
Could be, I don't know, because I'd seen a lot of, and it kind of fascinated me, that whole underworld, and the whole talks about, and of course my dad, that he would, there were people from the underworld whom he would meet, and then we would hear at the dining table, our conversations used to be around these things.
Okay.
So it was like one fascination. I think for anybody, even watching Crime Patrol thing also might be like something which is like, wow, that kind of thing. So for me, as a cub reporter, that was my passion. I said, yes, I want to do this. Then I was put on the beat, and I learned that, crime reporting is something which can get really, crime reporters can become extremely nasty at times. Like, you're sitting and you're saying, oh, you murder illa. There's no rape today. It's like so bad. It's really bad. But then that's how you get into that. So it kind of became, I felt that I'm getting a little too insensitive to a lot of things. I saw my own uncle's postmortem and nothing, like really, I didn't have any feeling at that time.
Okay.
So all of these things, after my children were born, suddenly it kind of hit me that I think I should move from crime to some other beat. And in between, of course, I did a lot of things, like, not just journalism. I did storytelling, I did neurolinguistic programming.
Yes.
I started my own center for book reading for children, like
Yes.
how to inculcate the habit of book reading.
I saw that as
Yes.
well.
So I did all of that, then came back to journalism. I said, no, I can't do this anymore. I have to do journalism. So after doing all of that, I realized there's one bit which I think, crime and health, they're not too different. It's all about people, right? Vulnerability in various ways. Here you're fighting the system, you're also looking beyond the FIR. Here you're looking beyond your hospitals. So, and again, it's people. So I thought somebody who spent a lot of time in the morgue looking at families suffering and things like that. So I thought, health is another bit which I really want to cover. And COVID happened. So
That's where it just...
yeah.
Okay.
It's an overlap, I feel, the
Talking about crime reporting, you need some kind of skill sets, which sends you to be a daredevil. You need to have a lot of confidence and you put yourself out. When covering health, some kind of, there is an emotional connect. But between these two, what is the approach that you take when you're covering the news or putting the stories across? Is the thought process different? Because this is a newsroom series. I just wanted to understand your thought process is approaching the news.
See, actually, it's not very different. That's just that, when you're doing crime reporting, at least 20 years before, crime reporters, we would go to the spot where there's a murder that has happened, or, we would go to a place where there's a robbery that has happened, or, so many times encounters would happen then. So we would be there on the spot to see that the tragic incident, whatever has happened, we would be there. So there is emotions even there, because you're seeing families, you're seeing both sides. There are families, right?
Yes.
Whatever. And also you see that they're wrong with the system. There is policy issues. So it's not very different where you don't have emotions. I mean, there to have that, the daring thing to be there in that situation. And my phone used to be like walkie-talkie. My husband would say, "Madam, mil rahe pakite, madam, mil mar raha, idil kidnap." I was working for Crime Diary for LTV, and that place, we had to be on the run all the time. Wherever you get a call, you just need to rush there. So that's how it was. So, shifting from there, from that kind of place to now, when you see, you get reels over a murder. You'll see people, you can actually see people killing another person. You would probably go after the incident. Now you're like live, you're watching.
Exactly.
Yesterday, there was a man who was, crushing a woman, his wife to death.
That's also there out.
It's there out there. So journalism, the reporting itself has changed from what it was then to what it is now.
Absolutely.
So, Kattu, when you asked me about health reporting, what happens is you need to be extra cautious, because your credibility is also at stake. Plus, people are trusting you, right? You're reporting on something. Of course, it's same with all news, but then health reporting becomes too much of a responsibility, I feel, because in fact, when COVID happened, I realized that when we wrote, people wrote that, Kerala, COVID, like whatever those words, Kerala is the state, I'm like, understand that Kerala has better reporting systems. That's why they're reporting so many cases. Your state is not reporting. That means they're not finding. They're not going to find. And those scientific jargons, what are these? What is testing? What is tracing? What are they looking at? All of these jargons you understand, and then you simplify it and put it in front of the layperson. Like, for them to understand what you're talking about. Make it interesting also.
Yeah, and also make the news simple, so that's...
Exactly. So I think this whole, responsibility is more, I feel, in terms of reporting on health.
Oh,
so...
Also, Chetana, going a little back, you also worked with City Bus, which was a longest stint, right? 8 years. And how did that happen?
So City Bus actually was my own, publication.
Yes,
it was
an
not for 8 years.
entrepreneurial kind of a journey.
So it was not for 8 years. I took a sabbatical for about 5 years. And in that process, like I said, I did a lot of other things. I wanted to do something of my own, and that time what I realized is there used to be these neighborhood tabloids. So, there is the Jainagar Buzz or something like Jainagar Times. Yeah,
In our peer days, there used to be a lot of
Yeah,
tabloids, even in the like
yes.
afternoon papers also were there.
So midday, I worked for midday as well. So
Yes.
when midday was started here, I was there. When Deccan Chronicle started here, I was there. So it's like
Yes.
when South first started, I'm there. So it's like I've always been with the startups, I think. So
That's-
but not startups. I wouldn't call Deccan Chronicle and other startups, but still. So when I thought I should do something of my own. But again, I got influenced by this whole funda about I thought black and white. Then I had a discussion with dad, and he said maybe you should try color for this. So I said it's an investment. I'm like, okay, fine, go ahead. So I invested in it, my own money. I started it. It was doing really well, to be very honest with you. It was like really nice. I had a amazing editor who would help me with all of my work and everything. Then I got pregnant with my second child. So at that moment, it was, I don't understand marketing. We journalists, we are like, at least being in the editorial right now, maybe people do venture into a lot of things. But for me, I was a pure editorial reporter. I didn't know anything about of course I knew how the desk works and all that, but marketing was nothing, not my cup of tea. And my dad didn't have an experience either, and his paper did very well without any marketing, without any advertisements. It went very well. So I was also thinking, it will do fine, but I realized I needed a lot of marketing strategies, and I had to invest in marketing. So that's where I think, I couldn't manage that. So I had to kind of close it. So, but that time I realized I should go back to journalism, and that's when I came back to Indian Express. So
with this entrepreneurial journey, what are the kind of challenges other than, the marketing? Were there any other challenges, Chik?
I got to see journalism from a 360-degree point, because I am sitting there at the realm of instructing reporters to do something, instructing the desk to give me something. So it was very different experience than just being a reporter. Because when you're a reporter, you have a certain responsibility. Go get your story, file it,
Yes.
and then give it to the desk. Your job is done. But then here, it's like you need to oversee everything, right? You need to look at all of these things. So it was quite challenging for me. Definitely, I had sleepless nights, and I would go home very late. Though it was 15 days once, I really couldn't. It was quite a difficult task for me to do that. Yeah.
Cutting back to few of your stories which did headline, the HCG, the trails.
Yeah.
That, how did you even had that courage or something to just go back? And because HCG is a huge
Right.
institution or organization, how did that happen? Be it like, I want to know. It was when I was reading up, I just said Chetana should be very gutsy person, and then to take down an organization. How did that happen? Maybe a little deep insights about this, and how
I
did
don't
you
know
get
how
to
much
know?
of this I can discuss, because right now there is an injunction on that, and that's another challenge. If you say that when you do a story, you always get these legal orders to refrain from doing or talking about it. But I would say one thing about this particular story is it was not I got this from my source that there is a retired judge who was part of the panel.
So when coming to the source, sorry to interrupt you there, it's always, this is to my source, this is to my... Yeah.
So, and your sources are very, very...
you keep it...
You can't reveal it at any cost. So I really believe in that. So when I got this information that, there is a letter which has been sent out by this person who is ex-judge, retired judge, and he was heading the whole committee, ethical committee, and basically, where there are certain rules that you need to follow when you're doing a clinical trial or whatever. So at that moment, I felt like so many people's lives are at stake. We need to put it out. We need to talk. Of course, it's very important in journalism. Many of them do not realize that we need to reach out to several people, all stakeholders in that particular story, to ensure that you have a proper, you've done your job well. You've given equal chance to all of them to talk in the story.
Yes.
So I did reach out to the chairperson of HCG, and we did do all of those things. It is a challenge. Like I told you, I had 2 more stories to come from that whole episode. When I broke the story, the rest of the channels also took it up, and everybody else did. And he was on record. The person who wrote the letter himself was on record saying that this has happened. So it has gone to a great extent. Karnataka government has ordered a query. CDSU is also now probing into it. So there is whole investigation that is in the process. But meanwhile, I couldn't report on those 2 stories. Though the stories were ready, we couldn't publish it because there is a legal, gag kind of thing attached to it now. So we're waiting for it to get cleared so that, that stories can go. Yeah. So I mean, many stories like that, when we write some story, when we do investigative reporting like this. Once when I was with Indian Express, I'd managed to get S.M. Krishna's death certificate. So this was a time when, this whole racket of getting caste certificate, death certificates were very common. So I managed to get a death certificate in his name. So, that was a front page headline at that time in an Express. So we did something like that for Kumar Swamy as well. So I went and gave him the midday paper then. I was in midday. I said, so this is your, this is the story we have done. So after that it stopped. Now, hopefully it is not existing anymore, but yeah, not sure still.
When you break these kind of stories, there would be a lot of pressure on you, right? How did you deal with that pressure? Or because taking down huge organizations or about politicians, there's a lot of pressure, and they would, I'm sure, but I want to understand from your how do you
pressure for a journalist usually comes from multiple places. One, definitely whoever you're writing about. Two, from your own organization, you don't know, right?
Yes.
So, stories will get killed several times. Thankfully, luckily, I haven't been in such a place where stories have got killed. But, when stories don't go, you will wonder whether it was killed or whether genuinely something like this has happened. But I've been in a place where I've had editors or, my bosses who've been extremely trusting upon, because the trust factor on the reporter is extremely important. And we need to have documents in place, because tomorrow if you are sued, if you are brought to legal, if you're standing there in the legal court, you need to have evidences to prove, right? So the pressure comes from multiple things, and I did have those kind of pressures as well. But if you have your documents, there's no way the other person can negotiate in any other manner, right?
Yes.
Of course, there are all of these things that, we know you from so many years. You have been associated with us from so many, all of these people in our organization. How I never expected you. There is this whole personal kind of thing also which can come. So it has happened in some of my recent stories as well. So we really need to stand ground to what you have. And also there is this morale when you sleep at night. You really need to know that, you can sleep at peace. You don't have to really think, have I actually not written this story because of that, have I actually not done justice to so many other people who probably trusted me, right? The lives which really matter at that time. So I think that is very important when you go through this.
I had a question for you when you're talking so much about, sleeping, well at night, a peaceful sleep. Talking about ethical journalism, what is your being, because your dad has also been into journalism and you are there. Just wanted to know, is it so relevant right now? Because we have seen, I don't know to talk about it or not, but I wanted to know about ethical journalism from your point of view.
100%. Ethics is something which is very, very, very important, and there is no other alternate to, when you say journalist, it should be ethics. It should have that. It should go hand in hand. But unfortunately, these days we see that, either the moment you write a story, you're looked at whether you're a left, you're a right, you're center, where you're going. I'm like, in this whole process, I lost my directional thing,
Yeah.
So the ethics has kind of taken a back seat in journalism. Very, very unfortunate that, whatever you do, whatever you talk, in whichever beat you are in, even though I'm in health beat, which doesn't really have a left or right or whatever, you're shit left, right, center probably, but still, when you write a story, whoever you're quoting, that doctor's political lenience is taken into consideration and thought that, okay, this reporter might be this. So, that has become like a norm now. And thanks to our social media and thanks to various, though there is one whole, I must say that lot of opportunities which has come our way. But then because of this, even ethics is still taking a back seat somewhere. I feel that, journalism is losing its ethics. It's very unfortunate.
Another important question, since this is a newsroom series, you have led editorial teams and worked with multiple publications. Just want to understand the newsroom challenges. How has it changed and what is your perspective on it?
See, when you say that of course, I've worked with multiple publications and multiple departments as well. Like, I've been a reporter. Then from there, I've moved to bureau chief at a very young age. And then from being a bureau chief to city editor. And then back to being a principal correspondent. And then, associate, assistant editor and so on. So, moving into these departments and looking at each things in a different from a different perspective, I've realized one thing that it's learning at each step. Like, when you are a reporter, you're looking up to your boss, and of course you're working with him or her, and then there's a different kind of work that goes behind, where you probably may have certain story ideas and then you just need approval from that person, and then it's that. But when you're a chief of bureau, you need to look at multiple people. And what I realized is Midday is a very young organization, and I literally mean young as in even people there are very young, the bosses are young. So it's like you don't have this whole hierarchy from what I've seen at my other place of work, where you have, if you're a young person, then maybe you're still a reporter, and then your senior would always be slightly older than you or much more experienced than you. But here at Midday, I saw completely opposite. I had a 25, 26-year-old who was my editor, and he was amazing. Like, I was the bureau chief there, and we had like a mix of 21-year-olds, 26-year-old, 40-year-old, 50. So it's like a mix, and people who mentored me. Like when I was in Vijay Times, I had Mr. Imran Gauhar. I'm sure you know Imran. So Imran was my bureau chief for crime, right? So I would sit with Imran and say, Imran bhai, thoda ye dekho lead sahi hai kya? So, how do I do this? We used to talk like that. And then when I went to Midday, I was the bureau chief and he was there reporting to me. I mean, I wouldn't say reporting to me, like really sorry for that. But then like I had to kind of look at his copies and see, then he would call, ma'am, I'm like, bye please, So, but then, I realized that, places like working in that way also taught me a lot of things on how to take the team along.
Yes.
And then, it also taught me that how easy or how difficult you can make others' lives, right? So that is something which is like really something which I learned, that you don't have to really scream at people to get work done. Newsrooms are known for that. You are like, of course, I realized that in the South, especially here in Bangalore, we don't have that bad. I must say that our newsrooms are really healthy for that matter. But when I have seen some of the places, I don't want to name them, but some of the places, when I went to Delhi and all that, I've seen that, it's really, really toxic. I must say, it's very
Maybe
toxic.
it's because of the culture that we have. It
Possible.
could be. Because when I was talking to Romal and I asked him how different it is, because he is
Yeah,
travel.
I worked with Romal as well, yeah.
He did say, an interesting factor that cultures also matter.
Very true, very true. Because when you have a boss who's from somewhere that side, that also can become a little challenging.
Yeah.
To work with someone and you're not used to that kind of language, you're not used to that kind of thought process. It's not that I didn't get to learn from them. Of course, even difficult bosses, I've had difficult bosses. I've learned from them, because there have been times when I've got a message saying, Chetana, be thick-skinned. There are times when you tear up. There are times when you like melt down, like especially when COVID was happening, there's so much happening at home, there's so much happening in the office, you're still expected to be there. So with all of those things, there were times when I've felt, my God, what is this? It's so terrible to work here. But I've realized it's a learning process. So
Yes.
each of these places, moving from departments to departments, in organizations to organizations, I have grown personally a lot, even professionally. Now I'm the editor for health at South First, and I see a different the way this place works is entirely different from how other places have worked.
Each place has its own.
Yeah, it has its own energy, it has its own learning, I must
Yes,
say.
yes.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the newsroom, is it different for women, or there is no gender discrimination at all?
To be honest, I don't think there is gender discrimination.
Okay.
A lot of people really have this belief, and we've had, arguments over arguments about how women in the newsroom. And the only problem, I'll tell you what, when we women go out reporting, we don't find toilets to pee.
Oh,
Seriously,
I
I keep telling. only advantage and disadvantage, at least for me as a journalist, as a woman journalist, I have seen my colleagues who are men can actually go and pee anywhere. I can't. So,
This is a universal problem. I have heard a lot of people, a lot of women who telling this.
Because I love rural reporting.
Yes,
so when I'm
yes.
going there, that's the only problem I've had so far in newsroom, where when you talk about gender discrimination as such. Otherwise, I think I've not really seen, at least in the places where I have worked, it's always been really good. No issues at all. But I must credit all the women who have reached up the ladder and who are
Yes.
sticking to it. Reaching is not easy. It's not difficult. You will reach if you have talent, if you have the ability, you will reach. But sustaining that, sticking to that, showing up every single day.
Yes.
That I think for women is a challenge, and I'm really, really grateful, and hats off to all women who've been doing this.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. On this note, because you've been covering different sectors and worked in multiple organizations, there are some learnings I would want from you in terms of your challenges, or what have you faced, and some bit of insights that can you share with us.
Yeah. So from my print journalism to TV for a bit, and then digital, right? There have been three. I've moved from one to another. So when I was with print, I realized that you have time, right? You have time to actually check, recheck, call your sources, call up your concerned stakeholder, whoever is as part of the story, get it edited, and then back and forth you go, and then the article is out. Of course, the challenge is again to write it in that crisp manner of 300 words or 350 words. You're bound by the number of words, especially now in an era where you have advertisements flowing in, you have marketing interference of so much that you don't really get that space to write. So then when I went to Crime Diary, which was a very short stint of 2 years with my dad as my boss, and I was reporting crime intense, like really every single day I would come across this, and at that point I had decided I don't think I fit in for a TV reporting. For some reason I felt it's too much of thing to look like. It's like literally going behind to show people the gore. You really have to show people the gore, only then you're interested in watching that whole thing. That's how TV works, I feel. I don't know, like constantly on the run, and I'm not fit for that. I didn't like that. So then I moved to print again. So I was back with print, and I was happy there. But then when this whole thing about digital media came up, I think it's like a huge storm. Digital media is something which I feel it's 360-degree journalism, if you call it, and it's actually really good because the reporter gets a chance to experiment with multiple media, and then that is something which is amazing, and which will actually add a lot of value to his or her professional growth and even personal growth, I feel. Because for me, when I started South First, everybody said, there's no brand to this, why are you doing this, why are you moving from Indian Express to South First? But I trusted the people who are running it, and honestly it's really nice because you don't have what do you call that, there is no stop saying that, oh you can't do this, oh you can't, there's nothing like that. And free flow of words, like you write a long form story and it's amazingly put out there. You have people to make the story also look really beautiful.
And also the kind of people that you work, the environment is also more
it's
important.
Like really, really important. And that I got to do podcasts, I got to do interviews, which I thought camera is not my cup of tea at all. I really didn't want to face camera. I said, I'm not fit for camera, I won't do. But I had a push, like Anusha Ravi Sood, who's my colleague, who was my colleague at Express as well, and then we moved together for South First, and we are with South First together now. She pushed me a lot to do video stories and get to do video interviews. I must thank her that today I'm actually thinking I should start something of my own in the same space of YouTube, and I should do something around that. Thanks to her that I'm actually being pushed into doing something like this. So I'm quite comfortable now with the camera. So the 360-degree journalism is what you get to do in digital space, and I think whether you like it or not, everybody is moving into digital era. So I think this is the space where you need to stride, but then you need to go very carefully also, because everybody is into digital space. You don't know who's a journalist, who's a podcaster, we don't know, there's no line here, right? That's also a challenge, but I think this is where you should all head towards, I feel.
And on that note of talking about digital space, you have seen both the world. You've seen the old school of journalism, and right now we are all moving there. What has been the pressure of the clicks and the views, and what's your?
That is really bad. I don't think that's one place where we need to stop getting into, though it is needed, I know. Unfortunately, these days everything is measured by likes and views and
Yes.
all of that. So even for me, I just to try out a few things, I've started doing something like a vlog where I'm putting out personal something around that, just to get friendly with the camera. So I was doing these reels, and you won't believe, from Facebook I got about 40,000 views or something. And then of course this is very very less number when people talk about millions and
Yeah.
whatever, but then for me, for somebody who's starting, 40,000 was something really big for me. And from Instagram somewhere around 20,000 or 18,000, whatever. And I myself put a picture of that and said thank you very much, and then I circled it. Okay, so I was like thinking, oh my god, what am I doing? I was
We are
the one
also
who kept
into
telling
that.
I kept telling myself that okay, I should not get into this likes and followers and subscribers, and I'm actually chasing it. You don't know when you will get into that whole madness. So I think that is one place where we really need to be very careful of not getting into it. If you want to do journalism, like if you really want to do serious journalism, and if you really want to make some difference, then because nowadays it's very difficult to say who's done it the organic way and who's done it the other way. Like there's multiple people live by doing these things. That's okay. I mean, that's their job. But where do you want to do? Where do you want to go? If you have great content, there is no way that Instagram will stop you from growing, or a social media space will stop you from growing.
Yes.
So look at what the content, what is your content, what is your USP, how different are you, what is original that you are doing. So these are the things that or even if you're imitating somebody, how good are you at it? So these are some things which you need to be worried about than those likes and things that can be very dangerous.
Another follow-up question concerning PR. We are talking about digital space. Everything is changed right now. This is a hard-hitting question. Is PR very relevant now in these days?
I think it is still relevant. I mean, PRs, I mean, that is evergreen, I would say, and a lot of our jobs become easier because we have PRs. Unfortunately, sometimes what happens is they don't understand the pulse of what they are actually supposed to be doing. I feel when you have media schools and media, you ask journalists to come there and talk to people who are interested in serious PR, that what is it that a journalist really needs. Because so many times I get calls and say, madam, there's a startup which is there and it's really really lovely thing. So I said, okay, what is it about? Then they say, oh, this car which is I'm like, I have zero knowledge about cars, I don't even report on cars, so why are you telling me about cars? Then when I say, have you read what I write? Yes ma'am, you write beautiful stories ma'am, amazing stories. I'm like, please do read them to at least understand. I don't report on cars, I report on hospitals, healthcare. So that much of homework also they don't do. And thanks to ChatGPT now, so now what we have is
When was this happen? Recently?
maybe about 8-9 months. I must say.
Okay.
There are still
No,
people
I just
who
want to
get into
understand
that.
how recent was this.
It is. I mean, there are
Okay.
people who still do this, so it's very unfortunate. So and the thing is, with this, I was just talking about ChatGPT, because with ChatGPT, what has happened is, it's probably made their lives easier, maybe ours also easier, but the machine, at least for me, I get put off when I see that sentence where comma, 3 commas, I know it's ChatGPT. I'm like, there are like those long dashes which come in between, I know this is ChatGPT. So we're like now trained to kind of mind also things, it shuts, when you have a. So what I'm suggesting is, when it's okay, use ChatGPT if you want, use any AI if you want, but then at least see if you can originalize it to
I'm like, put
whatever
your own
extent.
touch to
because
it.
see, you are talking to a doctor, you're telling me that there is this great doctor, amazing profile, I'm interested, the topic whatever you're giving me, however, even if it is AI generated, I don't care, but it's a great topic, something which you have pitched a story to me, and that's something which I'm curious to know about. But then if you send me an article straight from ChatGPT saying this doctor has written it, I'm like, no, please. Tomorrow when somebody reads it, the doctor's name itself is like, okay, he's just taken it from somewhere. It's very obvious, right? So even the doctor's name is at stake there. So why are you doing that? So that's the only complaint that I have with PRs, that you make yourself you're there, you're very important, you play a very, very important role. But then just make sure that, this role is played in a very responsible manner. So, and I have some amazing PR friends like you. So I have like a lot of PR friends who are extremely good and who do appreciate, whenever we do good stories. Suddenly out of the blue they message and say, ma'am, this was a great story. Nothing connected to their whoever they are working with, be it some other hospital or whatever. But then they do message and say, this is something which is really nice for us to read. So, that
Nice.
also happens.
Important
Yeah.
message that you've given for
Yes.
our fraternity. That's nice. And the journalists who are starting their career right now, is there something that you would want to share, with the wealth of knowledge that you have? Is there something that you would want to share to the budding
I'll tell you what
journalists?
my boss once had told me. He said, you should always be like an octopus, never a fox. He said, a journalist should be like an octopus who's doing multiple things. Do not limit yourself to just one thing. Of course, don't lose focus. But then do not restrain from trying things, because only if you try, you will know whether you really like it or not like it. And now you must be really thankful to the kind of space we are in, despite all the drama that's going on, despite all the negative things that we talk about. We still have that whole space that is created where you know that you are in that space, you can make good use of it. We had to wait for 10 years, 20 years to reach to one place, but now it's not like that.
The
You have
opportunities
talent.
are
Yeah, you
unlimited.
have talent, you have amazing opportunities, and even media houses have changed the way they think. They're not very traditional in their thinking that, oh, you have to be here in the office from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock and you have to like key in all of. It's not like that. You're out, you're a reporter, you're going out, you're doing a story, send it, email it, put it on the system,
Yes.
do whatever. So there are a lot of things, and you do a story, they will not say, oh, why did you do it from, you're a crime reporter, why did you write something from education, why did you write, no, there is nothing like that. You cross beats now, you do stories like, so these are things which have changed for good, and I think we should make use of those things. And I have only one request: be serious in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't do it just for the sake of doing it, because I see this whole burnout thing that has been there in the youngsters these days. It's quite high. I don't know why. I don't know if it is because I don't know if it's the pressure that is coming, if they feel it's pressure coming in from the media houses, because I don't know if that has changed anyway. That's still been there. Like you are expected to do a certain kind of rigor and with certain kind of rigor and with certain kind of amount of work, whatever you do. But I don't know where that is happening. But I see a lot of people give up very fast. Like they're just 2-3 years and it's like we're done with journalism.
Oh,
So
okay.
or they say that
Maybe the patience level is like
maybe,
going
or
up.
they might. I feel that you get into this danger of getting into monotony. That's something which you need to keep pushing yourself to. That's why step out and do reporting. These days, people call and just get a quote and then you file a copy. So I've also done that. I'm not saying I've not done that, but then how much do you do that? If you keep doing it, you don't have a interaction face to face. There's no meaning in doing journalism if you don't have a human connect, if you
Yes.
do not go to them, even if it is a doctor, if it's a police officer, anybody for that matter, that eye to eye and going and meeting them personally is extremely important.
This holds very good to our PR fraternity.
Yes,
Also,
exactly,
same thing, and
yes.
I'm like
Very,
so
very important.
Wonderfully put it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now a little bit. I know we only spoke about HCG. Is there any other stories that which gave you a little bit of fame? No, I would not say fame because you were always been there with that. Which gave you a career boost, or which you felt that this story of mine, I'm satisfied. Is there some crime reporting that you did?
Crime reporting, there were multiple stories, and like I told you, that those days, even just one story, like you go there and especially Midday, we had done one story, not really crime reporting, I would say. Midday was known for doing some hut case stories, right? They wanted stories which are different. So this was during the training period that we were all in Mumbai, and we were trained rigorously. I can't tell you like the way we were put into the field. Like we would go at around say 8 o'clock in the morning, then I don't even know those places, Meera Road, whatever those places in Mumbai were. And for me, coming from being a journalist in Bangalore, to be honest, Mumbai is very vibrant. Okay, I'd never been to Mumbai, so when I went to Mumbai, I'd heard stories about Kamatipura and all of those things from my dad, but I'd not seen those places. So I, out of curiosity, went to all of these places and saw them and all that. But when it came to training, So we used to have these bosses who would be like, nothing doing, you have to get the picture, you have to get a story, it has to be page 1. That's the instruction which was given to us, and manage on your own. I didn't know how to go, I didn't know what to do. So there was one story I was sent to, one sailor's death. Very simple story, I just had to go and speak to his mom and get a story, human interest kind of story. So I went to this place, my battery was dying, I somehow managed, and I'm waiting and waiting, she's not opening the door obviously she's upset and all that, and I'm not getting to even talk to her. I called my boss several times. I said, sir, this person is not opening the door. And nothing doing, get the story. That's all. No, oh, you can't get the story. No, there's no other option. You can't say no story. Have to come with a story.
Okay.
So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. Then finally she opens the door. There's a camera person standing behind me. Cluck, cluck, cluck. He just clicks the picture. And I am like trying to convince her, can I take a picture? Like, what we are doing here in Bangalore, what we do. So I'm asking, she shuts the door. I'm like, oh shit, now my story is not there. Picture though not there. I can at least write a story saying she was so upset that she didn't open something around that I could have written, but then she didn't even I didn't get the picture. Then I'm like thinking, thank God this photographer is there. He's taken a picture. Oh, good. So here we have like very friendly photographers, and I assume that it's going to be, I just turned to him and I said, so you're from, he said, Times of India, some paper, he said. So he said, oh, thanks so much, can you please share the picture with me? He's like, what? And I'm like, don't tell me you guys don't share pictures, because that's how we work in Bangalore. I'm like, oh, but I was waiting since morning, and then she opened the door, and by the time I could actually manage to get a picture, she had closed the door. So can you please share that?
Interesting.
He's like, no, sorry, can't. And he went. So again I had to sit there, wait, and it was about 8:30 in the night. Finally I got to speak to her. There was a page 1 story. We did a great job.
Wow.
But that day I learned a lesson that this is how cutthroat journalism there is, and this is how vibrant. They're so fast. Like for me, Bangalore felt like it's running in slow motion, at that time.
The thought process, or maybe the way
we work like that, maybe.
Yes.
Because for me, when I came back to my photographer friends, I'm like, hey buddy, come on, you're like really nice. But I also learned that it's so important to actually get into that, being smart and being so fast. And then we did a lot of interesting stories for midday, like other than this breaking investigative stories and all that. We had one story where it was Women's Day, and my boss said we should, he was a crime reporter, he said, we'll do something different, Chetana. You're going to do 5 things which a woman, this was 18 years before, I would say. So he said, this is something which a woman would not do otherwise. You will be doing all of that. I will be somewhere behind. There will be a photographer somewhere behind. You just have to go and do all of these things. So first we did, I was supposed to go and work as a coolie. Those coolies who take the luggage. Then I was supposed to do a shoe polish. Then I was supposed to go into a porn theater, which was running a porn movie. I had to buy tickets, and he's like, madam, aap galat theater pe aa gaye. I'm like, no, I'm coming. Aap pakka aap jana chahte hain andar. I'm like, yes, ticket de do. He's not giving me tickets. So that was one. And then there was one more. I had to enter into an arak shop, and local sarai, what would say, I had to buy that. And then there was one more where this was, I had to do a shoe polish. So there were some 4-5 things which I had to do, and the headline went Mud Ke Na Dekh. It was so good. That amazing experience doing those stories itself. Something very different, very new for me. And I remember Mr. Vishweshwar Bhatt of Vijay Karnataka actually wrote an article appreciating my story about what I had done. So it was really nice, fun doing stories for midday. It also taught me that you should not think just like whatever is there. Think out of the box, think differently. So that's how, when I'm very proud to say that most of my stories, when I write, many people call me and say, oh, we never thought of this as an angle. You write very different kind of stories. You write something which people probably would want to know but don't have any resources to find it.
And I guess that is the reason I had a lot of recommendations to have you on this series. Okay, maybe because it's Bangalore, and Chetana is from Bangalore. I think this is justified now. I feel the moment right now. And another aspect is you also explore a lot of corruptions in the health department from the government. And how was it like, Chetana?
See, when you're working with a system there, it's very important for us to look into policies and to look into where people are being not really given justice to, that be it crime, whatever it is. But health, I realized that there's so much happening inside. I must say that, we are not, Karnataka's health department is something which is like remarkable. I wouldn't say it's very bad. They are at it, but then there are problems everywhere, right? So, but in Karnataka now you have a lot of systems that is changing, but it's very important to point out to people and say that there is something like this happening, please look into it. So there have been stories around corruption, there have been stories where more than corruption I would say ignorance, people are not aware of a lot of things. So that, like, see, for instance, I did a story around this very unique condition called as Chukki Kaile. It's called xeroderma pigmentosa, where people are allergic to sun. Children, especially when they're born, they're so allergic that their skin starts wrinkling, and then if they are exposed to sun more at the age of 14, 15, they die. So it's that bad. So there was this one cluster, like we know that there are these cases, but then this village near Chamrajnagar had this cluster where at least about 8 children to 10 children had died. So, and I was just talking to somebody in an auto rickshaw, and then this person brought up this issue to me saying that this has happened. And I was quite surprised. I was like, oh, let me go there and check. And then I went and saw people didn't know. And very nice of our health minister, Mr. Gundu Rao, and also Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who actually acted upon the story. They read our story, took it seriously. They went there, and I ensured that I went back and forth to these people and said, do something for them, do a genetic mapping. It's a genetic condition because you're married into your own families, and you're marrying your relatives. So this was it was genetic condition. So then I happened to talk to a genetic counselor. So seeing an end to that, though we can't like really stop this from happening, which has happened already. We can't probably do much for them other than providing them with sunscreen and covering them a jacket or some financial help for the treatment and things like that. But otherwise, what can you do to prevent it? That's very important, right? So I ensured that I connected to these people. In fact, this story was referred in one of the scientific journals by Mr. Vijay Chandru also, who works around genetic diseases and rare diseases and conditions. So as a health reporter, it's very important for you to take that responsibility. You don't have to don an activist hat.
Just not stop at doing the story.
Just don't report it and leave it like that. So then you're using those people, right? So you're actually doing something for them to see to it that there is some help at least given. So that is something which I really learned.
My God, we've covered quite a lot. There's so many things is there anything else that you would like to add as we've come to the end of this episode?
Nothing. I just feel that journalism is a very happy place to be in. It has its up and downs. I would say that without those up and downs, it's so boring, isn't it? So life becomes interesting when you see a wave, jump on it, then go down, and then come up again, and then go down. So I think I would see journalism as that.
And also you have to be passionate towards...
Extremely. Passion is what will drive you there. Otherwise, you will not even reach the sea. You're like stuck
For
here.
me, that's what helped to my PR profession. I think even with journalism, it holds the same.
Absolutely. Passion is something which will drive anybody to any extent. And I think it's driving me so crazy now that I want to start something of my own. Probably I will have you on the other side very soon on my channel called as Khas Baat with Chetana Belagere.
Oh, that's congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. So this is a space where I want to talk about mental health, emotional health, physical health, and also some bit of entrepreneurship, women entrepreneurship especially, and my journey, weave it into that. So I want to make it something very different. I don't know, maybe my midday days might be back here to do something really hatke.
Wishing you all the very best.
Thank you so much, Neelima. Thank you very much for having me on your show, and this was fantastic discussion. I think it didn't feel like we are doing an interview as such, but it was really nice. You have an amazing way to talk, so very nice.
Thank you so much. Now we'll go on to the another round where we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes. Okay.
Now we're going to have some fun, Chetana.
I can see that in your eyes, some naughtiness there. Okay.
Yeah, with some serious discussion and just kind of a little bit of fun and let's chill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
One gadget you can't live without while reporting.
We'll report a mobile phone now. Unfortunately, it's like mobile phone.
The most inspiring women journalists that you look up to.
I have quite a few of them, and I would say it was. I found it very challenging to work with her, Santwana Bhattacharya, but I must say I learned a lot from her. And sometimes when you have like I said, when you have a challenging boss, you also learn a lot of. Right?
Absolutely.
So and I would not say boss, but then I had some of my the colleagues who I've worked with. Like there has been Ashwini Shripad, who's in Indian Express. Kavya herself, Sunaina Suresh, who's been an amazing colleague, and she's now into direction, which is like really good. And then I've had Anusha, whom I'm working with presently, and some of my very junior reporters. Like there's this reporter called Ifat Fatima, who's now in Ifat was somebody like who bring so much joy into the newsroom.
That last newspaper which got shut, she was just there, right?
Yeah. So now she's in Dubai. But I feel like these are some of these women who I always get inspired with. It need not be my boss per se. Of course, Roja Kandat, I must say, she was my first chief reporter. Then there was Usha, who was with Indian Express, when I was there. So quite a few women, Shantala Prakash, who I told you. And, there have been multiple women who I always have those respects for. And I loved working with them. Nice. They inspire me every single day.
The next one is, which beat gave you more sleepless nights? Crime or health?
Crime for various reasons that I had to, like the writer in the police station used to be a source of mine most of the times. So my dad had given this tip to me saying every day go to one police station. So I actually had this thing. I would go and I would report to him saying, Appa, today I went to this Banshankri police station and Nagaraj Anta brother writer, I made friends with him. So he's told me, he's taken my number and all. So okay. Then I would sit and ಅವಾಗ ಪೇಜರ್ ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಐ ವುಡ್ ಸಿಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇಜ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ರೌಡಿ ಶೀಟರ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ವೆರಿ ವಿಯರ್ಡ್ ಫ್ಯಾಸಿನೇಷನ್ ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ದೆಮ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಒನ್ ಡೇ ಮೈ ಡ್ಯಾಡ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಮೀ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೆಡ್, ಸಾರಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ಮೈ ಡ್ಯಾಡ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಮೀ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೆಡ್, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಯು ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್? And I said, no, I'm making friends with this. I am not like this. I had one major crush on one rowdy sheeter, and unfortunately I had to report his encounter also. Like when he got encountered, I had to go do the
very reporting. Unlike to have a crush on a rowdy sheeter.
He was quite handsome. I don't want to take the name, but yeah.
Good.
Crime gave me sleepless nights.
Okay.
Yes.
If journalism were a sport, which sport would it be?
Very interesting question. Though I don't know many sports. From the sports I know, it would definitely be a cricket. Because it's a team game, and all the time you need to keep hitting the ball and you don't know where it's coming from. So whichever beat you are, wherever you are, you keep hitting. So I would definitely say
the last one. If your newsroom had a soundtrack, which song would that be?
मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, मैं हर जिक्र को दुए में उड़ाता चला गया. I feel like you don't know how many zikr you
get.
That's
a lovely way to end this what you say, rapid fire with the song, right? You took us by surprise, Chetana. I'm feeling very, very elated and happy for having you on my show. Thank you so much.
It was really wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah.